You're staring at no ordinary woman. You're in for no ordinary time with science.
Friday night at 7 on Channel 9. This is Chicago's Midday News.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Sanders. Coming up in the Midday News, Chicago police have taken control of an area high school in the wake of a racial melee between blacks and Latinos. The U.S. Senate votes to overturn a ban on abortion counseling at federally funded clinics. The nation's highest court takes another look at prayer in public schools. And suburban Wilmette's prayers have been answered. The village is getting to keep a number of stately old elm trees. Those stories straight ahead in the Midday News right now. Tom Skilling, heading for another record low?
Another record tonight, Steve, and that's after the record low last night of 13 degrees. Tonight we could see some single digits in outlying areas, and there's been up to 3 to 4 inches of lake snow in parts of north central Indiana. The southern section of our viewing area had some snow too. We'll talk about that and look toward the weekend as well when we come back. But here is Steve now with the news.
Thank you, Tom. Chicago police arrested 5 students at Farragut High School this morning as they step up security to prevent a new outbreak of violence. The arrest follows a near riot at the school yesterday that led to 14 injuries and 40 arrests. Robert Jordan reports that the new security measures include the use of metal detectors to frisk students.
Go ahead. Let's include the people too who are here for parent conferences.
When the students arrived at Farragut High School, they were met by a large contingent of Chicago police and Farragut security.
Put your ID on, take off the coat.
Inside, students, both male and female, were searched. Coats, bags, anything that could conceal a weapon.
We haven't confiscated any items, but they knew what we were going to do this morning, so we're not really looking for it. We're just trying to get some control and let these kids in here that want to learn, let them learn, you know.
Along with contraband, police are also checking for anything that might be a gang signal, an earring in one ear or the other, a T-shirt with a special color, pants legs rolled up, or anything else that might indicate that a person belongs to a gang. They're trying to make sure that no student can intimidate another one, and they're making sure that students wear their ID at all times.
I'm going to get an ID. Well, you guys ready to go? You can search the room? No, he doesn't want to get an ID. Where's your ID, then? Right in the office.
Although the conflict seems to be between black and Mexican gangs, the school principal says individuals outside the school are fanning the flames of hatred.
Our problem here at Farragut is it's a bigger story than gangs. It's race division. We have significant numbers of young people who live in North and South Lawndale where racial relations are deteriorating.
Even so, most students want to see the violence stopped.
To me, it's stupid. I mean, we have to come together anyway, blacks and Mexicans in the school. I feel like we should just come together and be as a one. There's no need for all this fighting and gang violence. I mean, it's just stupid.
Other students were happy to see the police searches.
Well, that's good because we really need protection.
The atmosphere has been so bad that some parents are removing their children from the school out of fear.
Well, I was in my classroom, and they was saying King love and all this stuff, and I said, you can go ahead on about that gang stuff, and they just kept on coming at me. I didn't want to fight them because I don't want to get in no trouble like the Mexican security guys. They arrest me instead of them.
So it's been a problem here for a long time?
Ever since he was a freshman. He's a sophomore now. Every day is something. He had to run home every day, or he'll call me and I have to come up here and pick him up.
Some teachers told us that the atmosphere here at Farragut High School has been so bad in recent weeks that very little learning has gone on here. And with all the chaos of the searches today, some students told us that they felt better, more secure. And on a positive note, the Farragut High School soccer team won the citywide Public League Championship. Robert Jordan, WGN News.
Police say those 5 arrests this morning were mostly for disorderly conduct or gang-related activity. One female student was arrested for slapping a plainclothes officer. In some other news this day, the abortion debate is taking center stage once again in Washington. The U.S. Senate voted late this morning to overturn the so-called gag rule. That rule bars doctors at federally funded clinics from discussing abortion with their patients. The vote had the 2/3 majority needed to override an expected veto by President Bush. At the same time, abortion rights advocates are asking the Supreme Court to decide if it still adheres to its 1973 landmark ruling that guarantees women the right of abortion.
We are hopeful that once the newly constituted court makes its position clear, women will once again be secure in the knowledge that abortion remains safe and legal. But if the court steps away further from its 18-year precedent and allows further erosion of the abortion rights of women and permits the states to impose restrictions on women, the American people must act vigorously and quickly to overcome this unfortunate and dangerous development.
Today's actions by pro-abortion activists were prompted in part by new restrictions on abortion in Pennsylvania, which were just upheld by a federal appeals court. Well, the nation's highest court is also considering a major case involving prayer in public schools. Anthony Collins has more on that story.
When one of Daniel Wiseman's daughters graduated from a Providence, Rhode Island junior high school, prayers were said at the school ceremony, and the Jewish family objected.
I was angry because I was under the impression that religion cannot be practiced in a public school. Prayers cannot be said in a public school. It sounded like a prayer to me. I was told to rise and thank Jesus. That offends me.
Later, even though a rabbi said prayers when a second daughter graduated, the family still objected. It won lower court rulings that the prayers violated the constitutional separation of church and state. At the Supreme Court, the Bush administration asked to relax the rule against religion in school, saying graduation prayers are part of the nation's tradition. Solicitor General Kenneth Starr argued, "We believe ourselves to be one nation under God." A lawyer for the school officials said if prayers are banned at graduations, they could be banned from many other ceremonies.
Most civic ceremonies have some type of reference to God accompanying them. President Bush's inauguration ceremony, for example.
He noted that the Supreme Court's own session on the school prayer issue began with the clerk saying, "God save the United States and this honorable court." Since 1962, organized prayer has been banned from public school classrooms. The administration says graduation ceremonies are different because attendance is not coerced. But apparently that approach did not satisfy Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. She said, "I don't see how you can draw a distinction between the same prayer in the classroom and at a graduation ceremony." The Weissman's lawyer said, if the court opens the way to prayer at graduation, government could endorse one religion over another.
There would be nothing to prevent the school committee from holding a mass as part of a commencement ceremony.
In the past, the court's conservative majority has shown readiness to relax rules separating church and state. But the tough questioning from the justices, hearing the graduation prayer case, indicated that some of them may be reluctant to go as far as the administration would like. A ruling is due by July. Anthony Collins, CNN, at the Supreme Court.
Now, at the NATO summit in Rome, President Bush and other world leaders are mapping a global defense strategy for the post-Cold War future. Mary Tillotson is there and filed this report.
Beneath the polite and placid surface of the traditional family photo, the 16 NATO leaders in Rome face daunting questions. How to redefine NATO's mission now there is no Soviet bogeyman to oppose.
That we are confronted with a more complex security environment characterized by uncertainty, instability, and unpredictable risks.
One of the most delicate questions before NATO, how deeply to involve the United States in any new European defense scheme.
We're going to have a sufficient force to take care of our obligation and our own national security interests, and one of those fundamental national security interests is a vigorous participation in NATO. It is in the interest of the United States to do this, as well as in the interest of the alliance.
British Prime Minister John Major is one of the most ardent defenders of a strong NATO dominated by the U.S.
Everywhere in Europe, there's a total understanding that NATO has been a guarantor of our security for 40-odd years. How it's been, how it will stay.
But little is staying the same very long in Europe these days. The threat to NATO members' stability now is less a nuclear strike by the Soviets than the sort of bloody ethnic and nationalist fighting that is tearing Yugoslavia apart. Though NATO members like France want to see Europeans shoulder more of their own security, the European community has not been able to stop the fighting in Yugoslavia, and NATO won't even try. The summit here is not expected to redefine NATO's role as keeping the peace in Central and Eastern Europe, much as leaders like Czechoslovakia's Václav Havel would like to see their countries under NATO's wing. The political landscape in Europe is changing so fast that this summit will write only the prologue of the new NATO, not the final chapter. Mary Tillotson, CNN, Rome.
Well, despite this week's ceasefire agreement among warring Yugoslav leaders, air attacks hit two central cities in secessionist Croatia today. Hours of heavy shelling pounded the Adriatic port city of Dubrovnik. And in north-central Croatia, Varazdin was bombarded with 14 warplane-fired rockets. The renewed assault came even after Europe threatened economic sanctions against Serbia, the largest republic and Croatia's most bitter rival. More than 1,600 people have been killed in fighting since Croatia declared independence from Yugoslavia on June the 25th. In the Philippines, tropical storm Thelma has left a wide trail of death in her wake. Officials say at least 3,000 people died in floods triggered by the storm. Maria Ressa is there.
At least 6,500 people are dead or missing after a powerful storm swept through the province of Leyte. It was the fourth major disaster to hit the Philippines in 17 months, after the worst earthquake in 20 years, a typhoon, and the worst volcanic eruption in a century. Residents are assessing the damage. Hardest hit was the town of Ormoc, which has a death toll of over 2,000 people. Its residents were trapped by a 10-foot-high wall of water which rolled down the denuded slopes of a nearby mountain. Those trapped were washed away into the shark-infested Ormoc Bay. The numbers of the dead or missing are still rising. Bodies of children and old people are stacked on top of each other. As many as 600 are being buried in mass graves. Relief operations are ongoing, and the area has been declared a disaster site. Maria Ressa, CNN, Manila.
When we come back, plans for many high school reunions are jeopardized when a professional planning company goes out of business. And the trial of a Winnetka teenager accused of killing a couple in that north suburb last year is underway in Cook County Criminal Court. We'll be back right after this.
Could you get a carpenter to your home for $4.99? Then how about a plumber for $4.99?
Know what you can get for just $4.99? This great kitchens and bathrooms book. It's part of the Home Repair and Improvement series from Time Life Books.
Does your bathroom need a facelift? Let the Home Repair and Improvement series show you how to modernize it. To improve the appearance and increase the efficiency of your kitchen, let the Home Repair and Improvement book show you new ways to reorganize and how to get light where you need it most. Everything's right here in easy-to-follow instructions and illustrations.
And think of all the money you'll save when you do it yourself.
Call now to order kitchens and bathrooms for just $4.99. Try it free for 15 days. Keep it, and other books will follow, one about every other month for just $11.99. And you can cancel anytime. So be your own carpenter, your own plumber.
With the Home Repair and Improvement series from Time Life Books.
You're approved, or we'll pay you $100 cash. Get your own personal bank card, such as MasterCard or Visa, with up to a $5,000 credit line from the bank to you in 10 days or less. In addition, we'll show you how to restore your credit so you can purchase items such as
a new car, major appliances,
electronics, jewelry,
and even fun-filled vacations.
And remember, you're approved, or we'll pay you $100 cash.
Call now, 1-800-741-2500. The call and information are free.
I won $200.
Now you can win $200 playing Spell It, the new telephone spelling bee.
Call this number on a touch-tone phone, listen and spell 21 words correctly in 2 minutes or less, and you win $200 instantly.
It's easy and fun to play. Spell the word cash.
C-A-S-H.
That's right.
I won $200.
Grand prize $5,000. Call 1-900-SPELL-IT. $1.95 per minute, average call 5 minutes.
When Paul Stephen was born, I didn't have medical insurance, so we have to pay for the delivery. If I didn't have the money to go to a doctor.
Children should come into the world nice and healthy. That's basically why I give to the United Way.
If you have a high school reunion coming up, you may want to find out who's been chosen to coordinate it. If it is a company called Reunions, a class organization, you might want to be prepared to take over the planning yourself. Roseanne Tejas explains why.
All they wanted was a chance to catch up with old friends. A high school reunion like this one, organized by a company that specializes in just such events. But instead